Why, hello! I'm Big Joe the Storyteller. Welcome to my channel. Please like and subscribe so you can watch all my amazing videos. If you want to find out about my live shows or to book a show, please visit bigjoe.com. If you want to listen to my stories, you can go to Spotify and other streaming platforms so you can listen to all my stories like the one I'm about to tell you right now. Good day! I'm Big Joe the Storyteller. I'm about to tell you a story from Australia. I have a lot of fans in Australia, which I'm very proud of. Hello out there, everybody. This is a story from Australia, and kids in Australia know this story, and now you're going to know this story as well. This is a story called Tiddalik. This is my frog. His name is Tiddalik. Ribbit, no. Ribbit, no. We cannot tell the story in frog language. Ribbit, because nobody's going to understand the story. Ribbit, no. Ribbit, you want to try it? Go ahead. Ribbit, ribbit, ribbit. Ribbit, ribbit, ribbit. See, nobody understands the story. Ribbit, because you're speaking in frog. Ribbit, you want to try a different language? Ribbit, go ahead. Meow. They don't speak cow either. Ribbit, because they're children. We need to tell a story in English. English, ribbit, whatever. Ribbit, stop it. Ribbit. A long time ago in Australia, there lived a frog named Tiddalik. Tiddalik was bigger than all the other frogs. All the other frogs are kind of small, and Tiddalik was very big. And Tiddalik was always hungry. And Tiddalik was always thirsty. Well, one morning, Tiddalik woke up, and it was very hot, sticky, and disgusting day. Ugh. And Tiddalik was very thirsty. So Tiddalik went over to a pond, stuck his head in the pond, and drank all the water out of the pond. But he was still thirsty. So he went over to a much bigger pond, stuck his head in that pond, and drank all the water out of that pond too. But he was still thirsty. So he went over to a river, stuck his head in the river, drank all the water out of the river. But he was still thirsty. So he went over to a lake, stuck his head in the lake, drank all the water out of the lake. But he was still thirsty. So he went over to the ocean, stuck his head in the ocean, drank all the water out of the ocean. He drank and he drank and he drank till he drank all the water in the world. It was all in his great big belly. Well, Tiddalik went over to a mountain to get some shade. Well, the animals woke up that morning, and when they did, they looked around, and there was no water anywhere. And they said, "What's going on? Where's the water?" Well, a little animal saw the whole thing. He said it was Tiddalik. Tiddalik drank all the water in the world. They said, "Oh no, we need to get the water back. Everyone needs the water. The fish need the water. The animals need the water. The people need the water. Everyone needs the water." So they sent in Koala Bear. Now, Koala Bears are very cute, but they're also very serious. And Koala Bear went to go see Tiddalik. And he said, "Tiddalik, this is not okay. We need the water, and we need the water back right now." But Tiddalik looked at Koala Bear, and Tiddalik said, "Nah." Well, they sent in Emu. And Emu was a big bird. Not big bird, like a big bird. And Emu went over and she said, "Tiddalik, this is not good at all. We need the water, and we need the water back right now." But Tiddalik looked at Emu, and Tiddalik said, "Nah." Well, they sent in Dingo. And a dingo is like a coyote. And Dingo said, "Hey, Tiddalik, you are not being nice. We need the water, and we need the water back right now." But Tiddalik looked at Dingo, and Tiddalik said, "Nah." Well, they sent in Kangaroo, and Kangaroo was very strong, and she went over to see Tiddalik, and she said, "Tiddalik, okay, this has gone on long enough. We need the water, and we need the water back right now." But Tiddalik looked at Kangaroo, and Tiddalik said, "Nah." Nobody knew what to do. They were running out of time. Well, Wallaby was sitting up in his tree, and Wallaby said, "Hey, you know something? We've been doing this all wrong. I think what we need to do is make that frog laugh. If we can make him laugh, he'll open his mouth really wide, and all the water in the world will come back out." And they said, "Good idea, good idea." And they had to think of ways to make Tiddalik laugh. And they all thought, and they thought, and they came up with some good ideas. Koala Bear had a good idea. He went to go see Tiddalik, and he said, "Tiddalik, I'm going to make some funny faces." And Koala Bear made some funny faces. He made all those funny faces, but Tiddalik didn't even crack a smile. Nope. Well, Emu came in, and Emu had a good idea. She was going to spin really fast to make Tiddalik laugh. So she started to spin. She spun and she spun and she spun. She kept on spinning and spinning and spinning. She spun faster and faster and faster. She kept on spinning, and when she was done spinning, Tiddalik didn't even crack a smile. Nope. Well, they sent in Dingo. And Dingo had a good idea. You see, he was a comedian. And when you're a comedian, you tell jokes. And he decided to tell lots of jokes. He was going to tell some jokes. And he went to Tiddalik and told jokes. He told the funniest jokes you would ever want to hear. And when he was done telling all those funny jokes, Tiddalik didn't even crack a smile. Nope. Well, they sent in Kangaroo. And Kangaroo had a good idea. She was going to tickle Tiddalik to make him laugh. So she went over and started to tickle him. She tickled his belly. Tickle, tickle, tickle. She tickled his chin. Tickle, tickle, tickle. She tickled his flippers. Tickle, tickle, tickle. She tickled his bum-bum. Don't say bum-bum. She tickled his eyes. She tickled his nose. She tickled his ears. She tickled his bum-bum. Stop saying bum-bum. It's very rude. So, as I was saying, bum-bum, stop it! Well, she tickled him, but Tiddalik didn't even crack a smile. Nope. Nobody knew what to do. They were running out of time. They were very worried. They didn't know what to do, but then somebody remembered. Bug. Bug used to do a very funny dance. They said, "Let's get Bug to do his very funny dance. That'll make Tiddalik laugh." And so they called for Bug. And they said, "Bug, we need you to do your funny dance to make Tiddalik laugh." And Bug was very nervous. He didn't know if he could make Tiddalik laugh. And besides, frogs eat bugs. And if Bug didn't do a good job, Tiddalik might eat him up. But he knew he had to help. So he went to go see Tiddalik. And he said, "Tiddalik, I'd like to do my funny dance." And Bug did his funny dance. He did twirls. He did flips. He did all kinds of funny stuff. All kinds of funny dancing. And when he was done, Tiddalik didn't even crack a smile. Not even a little. And Bug got very nervous. He didn't know what was going to happen next. He got so nervous his stomach got upset. And when his stomach got upset, Bug went. And that burp made Tiddalik start to giggle. Then he started to chuckle. And soon his great big belly started to shake. He put his head back and he went. He laughed so hard that he opened his mouth really wide. And when he did, all the water in the world came flowing back out. Blow, 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 blow. It went back in the lakes, back in the oceans, back in the rivers, back in the ponds. Soon all the water in the world was back. Well, Bug went to go see the animals. And the animals were so happy with him and so proud of him. And from that day on in Australia, everybody knows the story of the very little bug with the very big burp that made Tiddalik laugh and saved all the water in the world. And that is the end.